Here's a short clip. We got this Mitsubishi here, and it's a perfect example of don't go crazy looking or, trying to find the cause of a noise, because while I was underneath this car, I noticed that pretty much every single panel on this car is loose. I mean, all the fender liners are destroyed and broken, as you can see, and they're all hanging out for dear life. Same thing with the bumper. And customer complains, well, I got new stabilizer links up front, new struts, new tie rods, new control arms. Why is it still making noise up front? Well, when your bumper and every single plastic panel on this car is hanging on for dear life, of course it's going to make noise going over bumps. That's what the owner is hearing while driving. Here I've got a 2018 Chrysler 300. The guy took it to a dealer. I don't know what for. They told him it needs a new cabin air filter, the throttle body cleaned, and the rear differential fluid changed. So the bill was like over $300 or something like that. So he brought it to me, of course, right? So changed the cabin air filter, and first of all, that cabin air filter looked pretty clean. This is all original stuff. The guy's the original owner of the car. And so yeah, he's never had it serviced anywhere else. Anyways, original filter on the car looked really damn good. I mean, yeah. So in my opinion, did it need changing? No, but he wants it done anyway, and the dealer said it needs it. And then the throttle body cleaning, well, it's so easy to just take off. I decided to do that instead of trying to go the lazy route. And guys, look at this throttle body. That looks almost perfect. I mean, there's a little bit you can see right there to clean up, but that's almost nothing. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, but again, doesn't really look like it needed it. And I understand the dealer's point of view. It's preventative maintenance, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, yeah, I kind of see why the guy just steered away from the dealer and said, you know what, if it needs it, I'll have someone else to do it. So I'm pretty much done here, and yes, I did use throttle body cleaner, even though it's pretty much the same thing like brake parts cleaner. But you can see everything looks pretty good here. Like I said, it looked really good to begin with, but a nice little polish. And of course, you got to make sure you open up the plates to get inside of there, or the single plate. And this thing is pretty much all set. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up right here where the gasket is at, and just put everything back together. About 2 weeks ago, this sentra came to me for essentially a tune-up, and when I went to remove the spark plugs, I found oil inside of the spark plug tube. So of course it needs a valve cover gasket, right? Well, on these cars, in order to replace the spark plug tube seals, you have to replace the entire valve cover. So that's where we're at. So I'm back with this Nissan Sentra, and we have a new serpentine belt, PCV valve, and a brand new valve cover. And yes, I know the valve cover comes with a PCV valve, but this is not a OEM part, so I didn't know the quality of this PCV valve, so I just bought a different name brand one. And yeah, the valve cover looks like it matches up. Unfortunately, it's got a ton of crap covering it, as you can see, so all this stuff needs to come off. And you can see how bad this oil is leaking. You can just see it pulling up right below that gasket. And the owner was complaining to me about the smell of oil. She said it smelled like burning, something burning. I told her, yeah, it's the valve cover gasket. So once we replace your valve cover and get the leak fixed, it should take care of that burning smell. So it's been at least 2 weeks since I did that last work on this engine, and we already have oil where the spark plugs are. See, it's not much, not completely filled, but there is oil inside of there. So you can see it doesn't take long for that oil to build up inside of there. So here's where I'm at. As you can see, I got most of the things out of the way to get to the valve cover. Here's everything that I had to remove, not the wheel bearing. But yeah, all this stuff. Look at all this garbage. The whole time I'm here working on this, trying to get to the valve cover, I'm just yelling, why Nissan? Why? This is so stupid. Stupid designs. These engineers, the guys, I don't know what to say about them, but it's a freaking 4-cylinder. It doesn't need to be mounted to the chassis like it's a Viper engine. This shit blows my mind. The stupid engineering, the things you have to take off to get to other things, how things are overlapping. You can't remove this unless you move that. Just stupid design, and it pisses me off the fact that I own a Nissan. It just infuriates me. I need to calm down and need to get into a zen mode. Guys, I definitely way undercharged for this job. Had I known it was gonna be this involved to get a freaking valve cover, you know, I looked at it real quick and I'm like, yeah, I can see there's a brace on the way. I'll just remove the brace. I'm like, it's a little force under. How bad can it be to remove the valve cover, right? And to change the serpentine belt. Yeah, way underestimated this thing. Here's another 2 examples of stupid engineering. One of them, not so bad, okay? So there's a bolt that goes right there for the valve cover, and normally it has a grommet right here, and not a big deal. You just pop out the grommet, and then you can put your socket right in from the top and get it. Not a big deal, right? Okay, so I start moving the rest of the bolts for the valve cover, and I'm like, cool, it's about to come out, until I get to the last one, right there. You see what I'm saying? Are you telling me I have to remove the throttle body now to get the valve cover off? Come on now. Every time I work on a Nissan, it's always a shit show just like this. There we have it. Valve cover is off. I did have to remove the throttle body. In case you're wondering why I put 2 bolts in it, well, because the gasket is still sitting right there. And when it comes time to put it back together, I don't want to find out that the gasket slipped off and fell and now I can't find it somewhere. So that's what the bolts are doing. So now I just have a bunch of cleaning to do. Of course, with this harness in the way, I didn't want to unplug the injectors because it seems like every single clip is breaking on this. Everything is so brittle that anything that you try to unclip by pushing the buttons, they're all broken. Almost every connector here is broken. Whether it was already broken before I got here or the ones that I tried removing myself, the little clip breaks. So what are you gonna do? It is what it is, right? So I don't want to touch those injectors because I know the lock-in tabs are all going to break off. So I have to clean up on the engine side before we get the new valve cover on. And this thing just came off in pieces, guys. This thing is, look, it's just breaking, falling apart. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Look at this. No wonder this thing was leaking. Crazy. Inside of here, they are completely broken. See it bouncing around inside of there, and they're kind of all like that. This one's still intact until someone messes with it, and again, this one over here is broken also. So like 99% sure this is the original valve cover that came with this car. So let's start with the cleaning process and put all this crap back together. And of course, I still have to change the serpentine belt. We'll get a better look at this right now. You can see all the wear on that belt, all the cracks. So that's why we're changing it. I got the new valve cover in place. As you can see, everything's looking pretty good. It went in pretty smooth. Got the throttle body reinstalled. I changed the PCV valve, and everything's looking really good. The grommets for the spark plug tube seals seem to have went in nicely. What I'm going to do is pull out the spark plugs once again, even though I just did them, just to let that little bit of oil that's inside of there, just kind of let that fall into the cylinder, and it'll burn off. No issues at all with that. That way we start with a clean slate and there's absolutely no oil inside of there. As far as the gasket around the valve cover, everything looks really nice. This is how the spark plugs are coming out, so this is why I have to clean each and every one of them. Completely soaked in oil when you pull them out. And I even sprayed just a little bit of brake parts cleaner inside of the tube to try to get the oil out of there. So I got most of this stuff put back together up here, minus the engine mount, because it was really going to help for me to install the new serpentine belt, which I haven't done yet. I'm in the middle of doing it. Here goes the old belt right here. So you can see the condition of this bad boy. Plenty of miles left on it. So anyway, on to the next thing. The next thing that I hate doing on Nissans, because it's a complete shit show. They give you no space to put these belts on. It's always like this on all these damn Nissans. So as you can see, the wheel had to come off, fender liner, and I was able to get to the belt from here. This is the tensioner, but why it's critical to leave the engine mount off is because you need to be able to raise and lower the engine to get access to that tensioner. You might be able to do it with the engine mounts in place, but I would imagine it makes the job more difficult. I had the added benefit that I had already removed all this stuff because I was doing that. But if you came in here just to do the belt alone and you end up having to take this stuff off just to get the belt done, just proves my point as to what a shit show it is when dealing with Nissans. And it's stupid design all over. And they're all like this. It's, you know, oh great, look at that CV shaft. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get this knocked out. As you can see, I'm using my jack stand to lift up the car using a floor jack. You know what, I said that backwards. I'm using my floor jack to lift up the car. The car's subframe is on a jack stand, and then I'm using my air jack to raise and lower the position of the engine to make things easier for me to get access to the tensioner. Hope that all makes sense. And there you have it. Everything's lined up. Everything looks good. This shit show is done. Everybody can go home. Now it's just full throttle ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping all this stuff back up, get the engine mounts back in place, and just tighten up any loose ends that I have laying around here. As you can see, I am just about done here. Everything is put back together. I just got a text from the owner saying, hey, is there anything else that needs to get done? And on a car like this, when someone asks me that, I'm just like, you guys ready for the smoke show? You might not want to start at first, but we'll find out. All right, start it right up. Oh, the smoke's coming from over there because there's an exhaust leak. But you guys can see the smoke. That's from the oil that got into the cylinders. Now we got more of it making its way out the tailpipe. All this is normal whenever oil gets into the cylinder like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let it run. It sounds like it's running pretty good. So taking this Nissan out for a test drive. Everything drives good. I don't feel any issues with any of the work that I did. So nothing really to show here. The belt's not squealing. Started up just fine. It's idling fine. No check engine light. She had a check engine light for something else, but if I left something unplugged, there would have been a check engine light by now. This thing needs like front stabilizer links, struts, brakes, rotors, and both of the front CV shafts. The boots are torn open. Okay, but that's a problem for another day. We are back with this Nissan Altima. It's been about a month or two. This is that same Altima that the owner has an issue with the car being too low. Now, just a side note here, I know you're probably looking at this and saying, well, that's not low at all. That looks factory. It looks about right, and you would be right. Now, when I was looking at this car, and I said, yeah, that front end looks way too low, the woman was actually sitting in the car. And, you know, I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful or anything, but she's a heavy set woman. And when she's sitting in the car, yeah, it's very noticeable that the car is very low. So that's why I'm going down this path of maybe the springs are worn out. I don't know, guys. And it's even more noticeable in the rear. You can see that the car is just way too low. So what's happening is she goes over speed bumps or whatever by her house, because I guess they're all around her house, and the car literally bottoms out. Like the bottom of the speed bumps are hitting the car itself to the point where it actually tore a hole in the body of the car under here, which she said she was going to take it to a body shop to get repaired. Or I don't know if she did it already. As a result of the car being so low, it's starting to mess up some of the body panels. Like you can see the bumper is starting to separate right there, because every time the front lip of the bumper hits something that's, you know, on the ground, like a speed bump, it wants to flex all of this and it's starting to destroy this. Again, on the side skirts, you can see how all of this has just been ripped off. And that's because the lowest point right here is like this mud guard. And every time you go with the speed bump, it wants to hit right there and essentially tear all of this off. So you may think at first glance, well, the car being low, you know, it can't be that big of an issue. But it is, because you have compounding problems like this that just stack up, and little by little it's just kind of destroying your car. she wants to raise the car up, and the only way you can really do that is to change the springs, because the springs is what dictates the height of a car. You know, it's unfortunate because the car is a 2016. It's 2021 right now, so the car's not that old, and for the springs to be worn out like this, I mean, this thing's practically on the ground. So we got new front strut assemblies and a new torque mount. You can see that mount right there is torn. The rear springs need to be replaced too eventually, but we're just kind of doing a portion of it at the time because of, you know, money. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do an oil change that torque mount, and front strut assemblies. It's the whole spring and strut combo, so it makes things a little bit easier. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started on it. So I'm pretty much done with the torque mount. As you can see, the new one is installed. Looking good. Everything's torqued down and good to go. Here goes the one that came off. You can see how it's torn. Before we go just throwing the struts on it, let's go ahead and get a height measurement right now. So pretty much the center of the wheel. Guys, that's looking bang on 27 inches. So this is the front right side. Let's go over to this side. Again, center of the wheel. And this side is slightly lower than 27 inches, just a hair. Okay, so now we have a base point. We can put the new strut assemblies on it and see if it has any effect at all as to raising the vehicle. If changing the strut assemblies doesn't raise the vehicle too much to really make much of a difference, I mean, she could always put some 22s on this bad boy. Man, she got the boots with the fur. All right, so here on the front left side, not too bad. Everything went pretty smooth. Got the new strut assembly in. Everything's bolted down and put back together. So let me go ahead and knock out the front right side, and then last we'll do an oil change. So I just removed the front right strut assembly. And one thing I noticed is, you see that orange sticker? Guys, this is not the first set of struts that this car's had installed. You know, I don't know for what reason. The car's a 2016. We're in 21. The car's not that old. That's crazy. Why is it going through parts like this? I have no idea. You know, one thing that really bothers me is this orange sticker. Come on now, guys, it takes a second to just peel it off. You know what I'm saying? When everything's brand new. Why? I don't understand. What are you saving? Milliseconds? You get what I'm saying? Here goes a new one that's going on the front right side. Oh, so hard. Oh, I gotta raise the price now. Oh, so much labor. And if you're wondering, well, you know, it's a 16. It's got a few years on it. What's wrong with having the second set of aftermarket struts going on this car? Well, here's something for comparison. This is a 2016. Our Altima is a 2013, so it's 3 years older, and it still has a factory Nissan front struts on it at 100 and almost 120,000 miles. And I've checked those struts. They are not leaking. Okay, so yeah, it's a 13, 120,000 miles, and it still has a factory front strut. Sure, they're probably due for some now, but the point is, this is a 16, and it's already going on its second aftermarket struts. It's kind of off-putting when I see a rundown, beat-up car with an OEM oil filter, because you know damn well this car has not been to the dealer for anything. So how long has that filter been on there? So anyway, as you can see, both of the strut assemblies are completely done. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this oil change, and that's it. We'll take our new measurement and see if it made any difference. I guess we'll find out. All right, let's go ahead and let the car down slowly. I suck with my left hand. All my practice is in the right hand. There we go. It's all in the grip. I could already see a massive difference, but of course, I know the springs have to settle, but still, let's just get a measurement right now. See where we're at. All right, guys, so we are exactly at 28. Of course, the springs are going to settle. It's going to go down a little bit over time, but a whole inch, I don't think it'll drop a whole inch. So, yeah, we did get some height out of replacing the struts. Let's go check the other side. And this side is just same thing like last time, slightly lower than 28. So we gained about an inch on this side also. Also, it may just be that the tire on this side is slightly lower, so I am going to fill up the tires, make sure they're at the correct PSI. Let me go ahead, take it out for a test drive, and I'm gonna measure one more time after driving around for like maybe 20 minutes. So I've been driving the car around for about 15-20 minutes, going over whatever bumps I could find, and we are at 27.5, so it dropped half an inch, guys. So at the end of the day, it only gained half an inch by replacing the strut assemblies. Now, is that significant? Is that enough to avoid these things that she's hitting? I have no idea, but I mean, you can only get so much out of this stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. You can see how the rear of the car is lower than the front. Now every time she brings this car over, and you know, this is a perpetual problem with this car, with this owner. So every time I get the car, I pop the trunk open, and look at this, guys, it's always full of stuff. I know the paper doesn't weigh much, but the point is there's always stuff in here. Look, like a freaking 40 pack of water, kitty litter. I'm not trying to show you guys what's, you know, people's personal stuff, but the point is, if you have a problem with your car being too low and you're trying to alleviate this problem, how about get rid of all the weight that's in your trunk constantly? You know what I mean? Look, another thing of just like 40 pack of water. You know, get rid of all this stuff. Why is it in your car? It's gonna freeze anyway. We're in winter. It just it makes no sense to me, guys. I just don't understand it. You know what I mean? All right, so we are just about done here. The engine's not bouncing around anymore because that torque mount is doing its job now, holding the engine. We gained about half an inch of height. Don't know if that's significant enough to make a difference, but it is what it is. I'm gonna be as real as I can with you guys and give you guys the facts. The woman who drives this car, she's a very heavy set woman. Now, I'm not trying to talk crap, okay? I'm not trying to make fun of anyone. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm not trying to be rude or mean. I'm just giving you guys the facts and just call it how I see it. So I don't know if her weight has something to do with the, you know, this car constantly being slammed to the ground like this. I don't know. I'm just trying to put two and two together because I don't normally see issues like this especially on a car that's not that old. All I see is this: it's a heavy set woman, and I don't know what else to tell her. You know, I don't know what else to do. I mean, you know, what could you do? It's got new springs. The springs are the things that hold up the car. You get what I'm saying? If the car being too low is still an issue for you when you get in the car, I don't know. And I hope I don't get any comments, because, you know, nasty, rude comments to me, because I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just telling you guys how I see it, okay? So yeah, anyways, we're gonna go ahead and leave it right there. I'll call the owner. She could come pick it up, and that's it for this one. Here goes our 13 Altima. So let's go ahead and get a measurement on it just for a point of reference. Now these rims are different, but they're the same size. So just look at that. Now this is all factory stuff. This thing has the original struts back from 2013, original Nissan struts. So it is about a 1/4 inch over 27 inches. So hers originally was a 1/4 inch below this, so slightly lower, but not by much. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't know how much you're expecting to gain. Thought it was some neat information that someone might be interested in, to seeing what the original ride height of a similar car would be.